What up, everybody? I hope you're having a beautiful day today. You know I got some good clips for you, so let's get straight into it.
We not only have new information, we also have some really cool new pictures to help kind of answer that question, because NASA's Curiosity Mars rover has now captured photos of Martian spider webs.
Spiders on Mars! Spiders on Mars! I told you about this, you guys. I've been telling you this for years. There's spiders on Mars. It's been freaking me out. They're in my dreams. They're everywhere. Spiders on Mars. Finally, we have the proof. It's right here.
Now, before you think, okay, wait, these are like massive spider-like creatures on a foreign planet, your mind races with that nightmare. They're called spider webs because that's what they look like from space, but they're actually geological formations called boxwork. They're low ridges with sandy hollows in between, like spider webs, and they crisscross the red planet's surface. But here's the key part. These webs suggest water flowed on Mars later than scientists thought, raising new questions about how long life could have survived on Mars. Now,
no, there's spiders on Mars. We all know it. There's the proof. We got the big pictures, even though these pictures are probably just some desert in the United States or some other place that already exists, like several of the other Mars photographs. But who knows? You know, maybe not.
Hi everyone, so here is one of my tensor rings that I made today. So people are always asking about tensor rings. What do tensor rings actually do? So I just want to...
Do you guys believe that these tensor rings work? I tried making one the other night, but the copper wire, once I twisted it and got it into a loop, the copper was a little bit too thick and I don't have anything to cut it with, unfortunately. I don't. I could get creative, but I didn't get creative. I stopped there. I really want to know what's up with these, but this is the closest thing that I've seen to anyone showing that it's doing anything. Like, because I'm curious that they always show like a little copper wire or something having some profound effect, and then, you know, we touch like cables that are plugged into the walls and other things and high electrical stuff, and then we can also have like electricity pass through us and stuff like that, and that's fine as long as, you know, we're connected in the right way or whatever, and then it doesn't have an impact. But I'm not sure how it all works and when it has an impact on our body and when it just passes through us and what the deal is and how strong some of these things are or need to be in order to have the healing properties, or, you know, I just don't get how they work exactly yet.
Give you a quick demonstration to a tensor ring by trying it out on my tri-field. So here we have my tri-field and here we have my iPad. And as you can see, there's the frequency and what the electromagnetic response is to that on the frequency. Tensoring. So tensoring, this is what tensor rings do when you're wearing them. They stop this from attacking your body, from affecting. And that's what these tensor rings have when they're actually built properly and they've got their own frequency generating. I hope you liked. Enjoy.
He also said, you know, if they're built properly, which is another thing too. Like, I was thinking about that as I was making mine, and I didn't know if it would work because, you know, the lengths of the wire, I'm sure, and how many twists and stuff have to have some sort of role in how it works or what frequency it works at. So I'm not sure about that, but I do know that when I was looking at it and after I twisted it, it just kind of gave me like cross eyes a little bit, like looking at it closer and further away. I don't know what it was about it. Like, there was something about it. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just loopy.
You know that gut feeling you have about an obscure cabal controlling planet Earth? Well, maybe it's not as crazy as you think. This is one of the most obscure books in American literature. Ancient Magic, Magnetism, and Psychic Forces by L.H. Anderson in 1895. And after reading it, I think I know why. He talks a lot about mind control. Let me read you a few passages. The reality of thought.
Mind control. Have you ever heard of mind control before? Like anyone, have you ever tried controlling your mind?
Transference, one mind impressing another, even from a distance in space, seems established beyond a reasonable doubt. This was in 1895. Let's think about today. Because a lot of the things people in power are doing right now make absolutely no sense. Why is Bill Gates trying to put lab-grown meat in the grocery store? Why the hell did the U.S. attack Iran out of the blue? I'm going somewhere with this, but let me read a few more passages. No doubt the developments of our brains are capable of being played upon like the keys of an instrument. The manipulator can cause a patient to laugh, fight, steal, or to exercise his self-esteem and attachment, and he can as easily call forth their opposites by touching other known parts of the head. Switching gears real quick, what is a computer? If you didn't know, it is an exact replica of your brain. They modeled the electrical circuitry in your brain to make computers. And how do these work? How are you watching me on that screen right now? Well, this phone is made out of a certain conductive material that's tuned to a specific frequency and then covered in an insulated material to keep the data frequency from exiting it once it enters. And a satellite in space is beaming 2.8 gigahertz of data frequency down, and the phone has no choice but to accept it if it's within range. Now consider all the heavy metals they've been putting in our drinking water for decades, and the microplastics that now inhibit your lipid layer, and those shoes you have on your feet. What are you? You're a human, right? But you have metal in your blood and plastic in your skin and shoes on your feet. By definition, you are an insulated conductor. If it works on your phone, what makes you think it wouldn't work on you?
I always thought about that when it comes to shoes, when it comes to insulators like that and grounding like that. It can't be good. We used to have leather shoes and leather bottoms, which I believe if sweat get a little wet and stuff, they're a little bit conductive, or you can still conduct a little bit of charge through those, but not like a rubber sole or something like that. I definitely have thought about that before, and it's got to play some role. I think about going barefoot too, because I like to just walk around barefoot. I don't do it all the time, but I try to do it when I remember, when I can, and I feel like even if it doesn't have anything to do with a charge at all, there's nothing to do with charge. I feel like because you're feeling more with the bottom of your foot. It's like you watch where every step you take, you think about a lot more. You can just feel a lot more. You just feel engaged a lot more when you're barefoot just walking than when you are with shoes. I mean, it's just like wearing gloves. I mean, try to do some delicate anything with some big snow gloves on, you don't feel as nimble. You don't feel as connected. It's the same way with shoes. We've just gotten accustomed to shoes and accustomed to that feeling. So
Science is science and energy is energy. Wasn't quite sure my hypothesis, so I hit up my buddy Parker and asked him a question. Parker, got a strange question for you. If somebody built a data transmitter and tuned it to the resonant frequency of a human and shot out a data signal at the right frequency, would it enter a human?
You know what I always say, anything is possible with the right frequency.
Based off of what a Parker told me and the information in this book and the news I heard about the frequency weapons they were using in Venezuela, I think it's completely possible that they could be controlling minds. And I want you to consider the actions of the powerful, how they fly in the face of logic, appear out of nowhere, and happen for no reason. You know that gut feeling you have about an obscure cabal controlling planet Earth and dictating events outside of your control? Well, maybe it's not as crazy as you think.
You think?
do you even believe that your thoughts come from you? Do you think that all of them come from you? Like directly? Because I mean, I just think about how I play guitar, and I think about how I've been influenced by everyone else that I've heard before. I don't know if I've had original thought altogether. I have a different combination of ideas with my touch, but is it original? I've played probably everything I've played. I bet you someone basically has done it before, that doesn't take away from it or make it bad or anything. But what I'm trying to say is, do our thoughts even come from us? It seems like they come from somewhere else too. I don't know. I'm not sure that I feel like we're more of a receiver than we are like the thing thinking. We're more of like a something that receives the signal and either receives it and does something with it or doesn't do something with it, or we could have some bad connections too and just not be in tune right or not be receiving the right things because we don't have our mind's eye open to it or something like that. I don't know.
Trees come from the ground. Seed, soil, water, growth. Obvious, except it's wrong. A mature oak weighs 10,000 pounds. That mass did not come from dirt. In the 1600s, Jean-Baptiste van Helmont proved it. A tree gained 164 pounds. The soil barely changed. So, where did the mass come from? Not soil, not water, air. Trees pull carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and use sunlight to lock that carbon into wood. Every trunk, every forest, solidified air. And it doesn't stop there. The carbon in your body was once floating in the sky. You were rearranged air powered by ancient sunlight. Like I said, understanding doesn't destroy wonder. It deepens it. Look at a tree again. You're staring at sunlight made solid.
Do you think I don't know about that one? I put that one on there because I thought of like bonsai trees right away, but at the same time it could be any plant that grows in container. It does grow a lot out of that soil. You don't see the soil get shrunk down as it grows, right? Like that's, it takes nutrients out of it, but you don't see the pot physically shrink down because the plant has taken up that mass too, which is pretty interesting. So let's ask ChatGPT about that one. Yo, ChatGPT, where do plants get a majority of their mass from? Is it from the soil? Is it from water? Is it from air? What is it actually from?
It might seem surprising, but most of a plant's mass actually comes from the air. Through photosynthesis, plants use carbon dioxide from the air and convert it into sugars and other organic compounds. These carbon-based molecules form the structure of the plant, stems, leaves, roots, and so on. Water and nutrients from the soil are important for growth and health, but the actual bulk of the plant, the carbon, comes from the air.
That's crazy. So I went to school for forestry and they didn't tell us that, and we were never told about that. Dude, there's got to be some interesting connections with electricity, with magnetism, with other things that have way more to do with that. Just think about that. A bulk of what that tree is growing is air. Like it really is air. Like that is weird. I didn't really think about it that way. Air isn't nothing. Like, I don't know. We live in a weird world. That's a real thing. I didn't know about that. That's a cool one. I was in disbelief until ChatGPT let me know that it's true. And ChatGPT never lies about anything. But generally, these facts like this, I have a more tendency of trusting ChatGPT with this stuff.
This is Milwaukee in the mid-1800s. I chose this time period specifically to highlight how old and weathered everything looks when it's supposed to be relatively new construction, all of course done with horse and buggy. And you again look at some.
He was just about to say you'll see some of these old buildings and you'll see the steps going up to these wood planks from these dirt roads up to these cement sidewalks, which once again don't make sense whatsoever. You build the road or something to get the material there, especially if it was horse and buggy. You'd probably want some sort of trail, even if it's just two little brick strips for the horses to pull those carriages or whatever across. I can't think of the word. Trailers, I don't know. Carts. The carts. But always with these weird planks going up to the sidewalks. So stupid. You see that a lot. A lot. Not just occasionally. A lot. Like, what?
These magnificent buildings standing on muddy streets. If you look closely at some of these, you see little wooden ramps going right up to these sidewalks. Hard to believe they were pulling off such beautiful architecture, while at the same time having overflowing muddy streets and flimsy little wooden sidewalks. I highlighted a few of these Milwaukee pictures on my Telegram page, going into detail some of the alterations you can see.
Another thing I think about too, it doesn't really show it in these pictures, but you got to remember, if these are some of the first things that were built and these are the first pictures of them being built, start looking at also the clues that are next to it, like the trees that are completely grown out fine. Like if it was just built up there, do you think they built it right next to that tree like that? Or like most construction that we do today, we get down, we plow a lot of the trees around there, but there's a lot of them that are just sitting there very decoratively. Like we don't do that today. We don't plant around those trees so nicely in that sort of sense. So it's really weird what's there.
From the whited
for
out
greenery,
skies, the photoshopped people and the empty streets. Or this next building. This is supposed to be an exposition hall. Beautiful palace built right up next to shacks and muddy streets. Of course, in just a few short decades, it burned down. Always those pesky great fires destroying so much beautiful old architecture. I highly recommend you, though, checking out the Milwaukee Public Library. It's where I got most of these images from. They had over 400 old world pictures. Question everything, friends. Until next time.
We not only have...
I'm from Appleton, Wisconsin, so I'm not too far away from Milwaukee, and I was actually there once before to the Milwaukee Library. I didn't get a chance to take a look at some of the old world photos, but this is just some photos from my iPhone, so nothing special in that sense, but this was inside the Milwaukee Library, so this is the library itself. And I only got 2 little photos here of that inside, but just a beautiful inside as well of those libraries. We forget those are old world as well, but they do have some more pictures. I just thought I'd share a couple more that I just had from before of me in Green Bay, Wisconsin. So these are just some pretty buildings and churches and stuff from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Here's a real cool one. Just a couple beautiful buildings that don't look like they're of the time that they say that they're from, and they look very Roman, and they, just look like they have a different story than what they tell us. Here's the Brown County building in Green Bay, Wisconsin. What a beautiful building with a copper roof. I got to figure out how I can zoom in for you guys so I can get a little closer so you can see some of this cool detail. How I've uploaded the pictures right now in the slideshow in OBS that I'm using. Doesn't let me zoom in, so I got to figure that out. But some more beautiful churches. It looks like you can see on this one, it looks like you can see the tops that still do remain, because a lot of times I feel like they chopped that part off, that we don't get to see that little dome, those couple columns where there was probably some bells and some other technology in there, still with the 2 crosses on top and that cymatic pattern in the middle. Just beautiful. Once again, not something like, I wish I could zoom in for this for you guys. You guess you can on your phone. It's not the same, but this one, again, just the columns in the front and the carvings of these twisted columns you can see in the second story there. There's some twisted columns going on. Pretty insane. Just another beautiful church here. Real big doors. Real cool tops. Lots of stuff going on. Just beautiful. But that's all the crazy stuff I got for you today. If you guys like this video, like and subscribe. And other than that, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a beautiful day.